Welcome to episode 2 of The Space Between. I want to thank all my guests today. We have Trista, Kelly, Andy, Cameron, and Karen, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves before we get started. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for being willing to help me start this podcast out right. I'm so excited you could join me. Can you introduce yourself? Let's just say name, where you live. And
My name's Karen. I grew up in Virginia Beach, Virginia, so I was around the Charlottesville area. My first show was Richmond, Virginia, eons ago, like when they first started. Like I'm 56, so yes, I have seen them for 31 years. Favorite band. Cannot even dispute that. Eons, like some of you weren't even born. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, thank you for being here, Karen. We look forward to hearing everything you have to say. Cameron, thank you so much for being on. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Cameron. Colorado's my home, but born in Akron, Ohio. So my first show was at Blossom Music Center. So it was a great experience.
Hey, I'm from South Dakota. I went to my first show December of 2000 in Minneapolis with my mom.
Awesome.
And we
With
were
your
nosebleeds. Yeah.
Does your
I
mom still
wasn't
go to
of
shows?
age.
Oh, yes.
No, I wasn't of age to travel by my lonely, so I went
Gotcha.
up there.
How
with
old
her
were you
and,
when you went to your show?
17?
13?
17.
Well, even still, your mom was super cool.
She still is. How do you think I'm so
Absolutely.
cool?
Your mom, definitely.
But I've been to 42 shows. I think Minneapolis 2 weeks ago was my 42nd show.
Congratulations.
So, and then we're going to Phoenix in February and taking Tav with me.
I'm excited for you. She texted me the other day and was like, "Are you gonna go?" I'm like, "Not unless it's free." I can't just be doing all the festivals and all the shows. Like,
the festivals are so much more expensive. Yeah.
well, and
The
you just
tickets
get
weren't
like a
bad
little
though.
No,
And when it's not summer season, you have to budget those dollars for summer season.
only summers. Well, I mean,
And the
fall.
clothing. Oh my God, it's so cold. I've been to Detroit in the winter to see Dave, and it's freezing. Even
Yes, ma'am.
inside, it's freezing.
Yes, ma'am.
Definitely for the shows. My youngest conned me out of $300 at one show getting merchandise.
Oh my gosh,
Just for
Oh
her.
gosh.
it's easy to
Good God.
do. So, Kelly, tell us where you are from and where was your first show?
Okay, I'm Kelly. I'm from Toledo, Ohio. My first show was at the non-existent anymore Gundarena in Cleveland
Yes.
in 2001. No, 2000 or 2001. I was also 17 and I also went with my mom.
Damn.
She took me for the first time. She surprised me. I have the original Christmas card that she gave me. She wasn't home from work or somewhere and I came home from school and there was a Christmas card waiting for me and it had the 2 tickets stuck inside like do you remember when Ticketmaster was at like the grocery store and like at
Yes.
Kroger and you had to go to
Yes.
Kroger and stand in line at Ticketmaster?
Yes.
So the 2 tickets were in the Christmas card and she said, get all your homework done because after school, I'm taking you to go see Dave Matthews at Gundarena. And now it doesn't even exist anymore.
Oh, that makes
And
me
Kelly, I was
scared.
at that
Days
show.
of the
That
paper
was-
tickets.
And I
Those
the
days were
funky
the
meters
best.
opened for them. I saw the funky meters open for them. So I don't know
Wow.
why I remember that.
What was it? The funky what?
Well, there were some incredible bands that opened
Meters.
for Dave. Like I remember
Meters.
seeing Macy
Meters.
Gray.
I saw Macy
Yes.
Gray open for him in Detroit and she
Yes.
was a mess.
Thank you.
She
Yes, but it was
was a
still so
mess.
cool.
I love
It was
Macy Gray.
very
It's still
cool,
doing-
except that was a 2-day
cool.
show. That was during the Everyday
Yes.
tour. I remember this clearly because I went the first day when he played the whole
Yep.
album front to back, and then the second day he played like all of the hits and everything you wanted to hear. And I went the first day and I remember being so disappointed. But yeah, Macy Gray laid on her back with a bottle of champagne and introduced her
Yeah.
band from on
And
her
it was
back on stage.
amazing.
She
Sorry.
was-
It was a hot mess for me with the board. What was it? Edward, scissors, and what was
They
it?
were sharp in the magnet.
Sharp in the magnet. That was the hottest mess that I've ever seen. Yeah.
And Andy, thank you so much for being a part of this episode. Tell us a little bit about who you are and where your first show was.
Hey guys, thanks Renee for having me. Name's Andy Mendoza. I am from Austin, Texas, and man, my first show was July of 1999, and also in a non-existent venue anymore. It was called South Park Meadows, and it was just a GA lawn, and there's a shopping center there now, but I did not go with my parents. I snuck out, and
Amazing.
I was 15 years old,
My God.
and that was my first show. And it was ever since then. I've
And
been
they
hooked
only
ever
had
since.
lawn?
That's all it was. It was just
What
a
year
big
was
lawn.
that?
1999.
Wow.
That's right, 1999.
I wonder if there's any venue.
I was a
I don't think
kid.
there's any venue like that that's only lawn anymore.
I don't think so either.
I don't know.
How old are
That's
you now? 'Cause-
crazy.
Oh my God.
38.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I remember getting, never mind. I don't want to edit that. I remember taking my kid when he was 16 for a show, his first. And yeah, it was fun. That's all I'm going to say.
Dave
Never
Matthews
mind.
Band?
Lots of lawn shows out
You
here.
can
in
edit
Colorado.
that out.
You get a lot of lawn shows in Colorado?
We used to. He played all these huge sports arenas. You just run for the rail. Now it's get in line for tickets and hope you get a rail.
Oh yeah.
Anywhere else.
Run for the rail would be dangerous anymore.
I hated that.
Mhm.
I hated the magic marker people when you would line up. I remember in Atlanta one year, and I would line up, and I was number 2 for this one show, and it was 10 in the morning, and there was one person in front of me, and this guy had a magic marker, and he's like, well, you need to put number 15. And I'm like, why? I'm number 2. He's like, well, I have friends coming. And they would wait till like the beginning of the line starting to go in, and all of a sudden all these people would fill in, and it's like, this is such BS. There's no way I'm gonna
That's
do magic
bullshit.
marker. And I remember those days of lining up for the pit to where you had to write a number down. I refused. I'm like, I'm going to be number 2 and your friends can be number 3 on, but I'm not doing it.
All right, so let's get
Nuts.
into question number 1. So I like to write these questions as kind of like I'm interviewing the band, but then it's a flip because I'm not, obviously. That's my dream, but I have you guys, and it's almost more fun because I don't know what the hell y'all are going to say. So it's awesome either way.
We're a stepping stone to the band.
Yeah, well, no, I really am so happy to just be here with family and people that get it. And like talking to the band would be completely different because they can't appreciate it as a fan, right? Like they can't or at least it would be different. I don't know. Maybe they can't. They can be fans of their own band, but see it in a different light. That would be like, I don't know, being biased to your own children. Like, of course you love them. Of course you think they're wonderful. You know them in a personal way, but this is not, it is personal to me, but it's not personally about them. Okay, so let's start with this question. And I love this because it kind of makes you think, how in the world do you describe this band? How do you, okay, and I'm gonna pick, so just be ready to who's gonna answer this first. So how would you describe the Dave Matthews Band to a person that's never heard of them before? Any age, it could be old, it could be young, but old enough to know what you're saying. Of course, you're not talking to an infant. So how would you describe it in order to not necessarily convince them to listen, but at least just be open-minded about a band that's 31 years old?
Well,
I'm going to go with, Andy, go for it.
okay. It's just funny experiences with these because if any of y'all know me or my friends and DAB family know me, I'm pretty well obsessed. So it's always on the tip of my tongue where I'm talking about the band. So whenever I'm talking with someone new about it, they almost kind of get scared away to an extent. But
I totally understand.
It comes off like really culty, but you're like, I swear, no, it's like not.
you're trying
Not,
to
we're
avoid.
not.
But the one word I always use to describe this band, what it means to me when I'm talking with other people, is just pure and raw emotion. I've been to so many shows, and and the one question they always ask, that I find that they always ask me is, why have you gone to so many, or why do you just keep going to see them? My simple answer is because you don't see the same band twice. It's just that never
100%.
happens. And even if you get a few repeats, those repeats of those songs tend to hit you completely differently than, say, the show you went to a few days ago.
Exactly.
And
That's
their
exactly right.
music, the lyrics just hit on an emotional level so hard that it just resonates with you and sticks with you. And you just get sucked in.
Hello, everybody. This is Dave Rich from the Eddie Casino Band out in Las Vegas. We're really excited to get this journey going, celebrating our music, our original music, on all platforms. We just released our first single over Labor Day weekend called Eddie Casino. If you're looking for new music, look out for our next single coming out to Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Music. These guys in the band are really excited to get started playing music for you all. If you like Tom Petty, Zach Brown, Jason Mraz, Dave Matthews Band, Rob Thomas, Jimmy Buffett, Pink Floyd, Stapleton, Bare Naked Ladies, Goose, Billy Strings, Sting and the Police, a ton of influences that we bring to the table. Hope you enjoy our music and look forward to seeing you soon live on stage.
I agree.
And I will agree with that because I listen to What Would You Play all the time, and I sit here and hear, oh my God, I love this drum beat and I love this trumpet and I love this guitar riff, and I'm like, yeah, that's okay. But I love it. But I'm Renae, I might cry, but you know me, I'm so emotional, and I sit there and listen to him play songs, and you know, like Come Tomorrow and The Raven, where I have a grandson now that's 5, and it's like, how do you know what I'm feeling? Like, he writes music to how I feel inside, and I listen to these lyrics, you know, shine your light while you got one. You know, don't be something that you're not. And I'm like looking at my grandson and sobbing, like, yes, how do you know that that's how I'm feeling right now? And it's not just about, it's not the same songs every single concert. It's the feelings that I have and what's going on in my life. And I could sit here and quote a million songs that make me just want to burst out in tears. And it's just the family that you meet. I mean, how did you and I meet, Renae? We met in
at
a concert. And of course I ended up in the medic tech, but that's a whole other story. But then you look at, you know, the shows that we've seen together, like this past year for the Texas 3-Step. And yes, it was a great, seriously, we were on the rail in Pitt all 3 nights, but it wasn't just that. It was, you know, going to our restaurants that we went to and getting lost in Austin and just walking the streets and
going to stay with your friend,
going
you met for 2 weeks.
Yes,
and taking care of her
and taking care of people that we didn't know and meeting people. And we were in Deer Creek and having the best Pop-Tarts of our life.
They really were. Shout out to
shout out to that restaurant where Dave showed up 2 weeks later. So it's really, to me, not just, oh my God, you have to listen to the music. It's really about the emotional connection. Even Trista. I mean, look at us. We met at the one restaurant. We had breakfast. We had the best picture, the best breakfast. I mean, look at all the family that we have made. And that, to me, it's not about the drum beat or the trumpets or the cymbals or whoever played. To me, it's all about the family that let's talk about Deer Creek, Renae. When we were I was waiting for you to get off your plane, and I met a couple that liked my boobs and a shirt, and we ended up doing shots, and we ended up trading our tickets in for Pitt. I mean, it's just crazy, just crazy, just
that
the
was
emotional.
Random. She's waiting for me at the baggage claim, going,
yes, go ahead,
I'm like,
tell the story.
I mean, I'm just getting off the plane. I'm excited to see her, and she somehow has pulled out pit tickets for a concert that I've just flown in for. And I'm like, I don't even remember what kind of seats we had for that show.
We had good seats, but I had on my Freaks Are on Parade shirt, and we're sitting there, and this woman comes up and she's talking to me, and she's like, oh my God, I love your shirt. I love this. We love Dave. And she's like, do you want to do a shot? And I'm just like, well, okay. So now we're doing mini bottles of Jack Daniels. And then her husband walks up and he's like, hey, I like your boobs in that shirt. And I'm just like, well, you may touch them if you like. And he touched them and he's like, hey, by the way, would you like to switch tickets? We have Pitt. What do you have? And I'm just like, yes, sir. And we ended up with Pitt. And then that's when you get off the plane. It's like, hey, by the way, my tits are so good. We have Pitt.
Jesus.
I mean, that's something to be excited about when you're 56, right?
Story.
Well, that's the other half of the band. It's of course the music, the emotion, but the other half is the camaraderie, the people that you go with, and they really are just a second
It's family.
And
Yeah,
well, it's
that's
the
what I
same
was just
thing. I
thinking.
met
Exactly.
you, Karen, and Renae in Texas, and
Yep.
I remember going to those shows, and I think I even we got you all in at the last second as well too,
We
and
did.
they played some awesome sets.
We did.
And
We
I
did.
mean, it's you just can't quantify that feeling of not only experiencing the music but of the friends as well. I mean, I remember, the Austin show specifically. You want to talk about pure emotion? Was when I was just awestruck. I've been going since 1999. I've been to 86 shows, and I never heard Shotgun.
Hmm.
And I was looking around like I was just lost when he started playing those first few chords. And I was saying to myself, holy shit, I'm getting Shotgun. And I think behind me, as soon as I realized they were starting, I think it was Jamie Henry, really good friend of mine. She's great.
I love
And I
her.
turned around,
She's amazing.
and both of us unashamedly were both crying because we know exactly what's happening. I mean, it's that you can't. As even with you guys, with people like you who get it, you can understand it. But when you're trying to talk to someone else
Mhm.
who hasn't experienced it or is curious about why you love this music so much, and you're trying to explain that, you almost find yourself at a loss of words because you can't describe that moment and do it justice, or feel like you're doing it justice, and convey the importance of what that is to you to somebody else. It's a cliche for a reason, but you just have to go.
Mhm.
And you have to experience them. I mean, you can play the music all you want, and the albums are great. The albums what got me sucked in. But give me a live album or a show any day of the week over the regular album, because it just hits you completely different.
That's
And
right.
it hits you different every single day. That's what's so great, because one day I could listen to Pig today, and I could, like earlier today, just listening to Pig, and I'm bursting out in tears, like how important that is in my life. And then like a week from now, I might listen to Pig, like, yeah, that's okay. That's okay, but that's not my jam today. My jam today might be number 27, and tried to explain that to people. And I'm a very big one for quoting lyrics. Not, oh, you got to listen to this song because the song's the music. I'm like, well, you need to listen to Best of What's Around because of this lyric, because it is the best of what's around. But you listen to the lyrics, like you hold on tight to what you think is your thing, and you may find you're missing all the rest. And that lyric just sits with me like, wow, that just blew my mind. And I hope when I say that to you, that it's going to blow your mind to want to go and listen to Dave, because he writes lyrics that I feel like I just can't believe you just wrote that for me. And when I'm standing on the rail, and I know that Dave's looking at me, I'm really sorry, but he is.
And I know that he's looking at me.
I'm sorry. He's looking. He gives me the eye. You know damn well, all of us rail people, he's looking at me. And when he sings the
Might as well
lyrics,
just
and I'm
sit
just
down.
like, yes, yes, I know exactly what you're saying. And it's just so, that's how I explain the music, is I quote 1,000 lyrics, and I have those lyrics tattooed all over my body, and that's how much it just means to me.
I think
agree.
it bears repeating though what Andy said. I think it bears repeating though that it isn't. truly isn't just the music. It isn't just like, hey, listen to this and dig it the way I dig it. Hey, listen to this and feel the way I feel about it. You can't force someone to feel a certain way about how a song makes you feel and how a song hit your nerve. You can't force someone to even like a certain style of music. Okay. But what you can do is convince someone somehow to come to a show with you, and trying to force someone, like sitting in your car and listening to a CD in your car and trying to force them to be into the kind of the music you're into is a completely different game than taking them to a show and feeling that sense of community. We've all been to other concerts that are non-Dave Matthews concerts where you walk in, you see the show, and you walk out and you go home, and that was it. I experienced the concert, and that is all I experienced. I drove there, I heard some music, and I drove home, and that was the end of that equation. That will not happen to you at a Dave Matthews show. It is not a like I made some new friends situation. It is 100% every time you go, you make a new family member situation.
Yeah.
Renae and I shared a hotel
100%.
room and had not met in person before. We made friends like in the Facebook groups, in the, I don't know, the 9 Facebook groups that I'm in for Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't share a bed. We shared a hotel room. We were in separate beds next to each other, but that's not the point.
We did.
The point is
Sleep
that
with Renae. Renae, sleeping with Renae is amazing.
it's just, it's kind of like, I think that other bands, and Renae, you mentioned this in your last episode, that like bands like Fish have a really similar community. And from what I hear, Pearl Jam has like a really similar community where it goes really beyond the music, and it's the people and the experience at the live show that you can't replace. And like Karen was saying, when you listen to Pig one day and you listen to Pig the next day, that's 2 different songs that you just listened to.
Yep.
Because if you listen to the album version, or you listen to a live version or a different live version or a different live version, not only are all 4 of those versions live, but how they hit you on that particular day.
You're right. It's
are
how
gonna
your
be,
life
it's just,
changes.
it's
Yes, that's
never
how your
the
life
same
changes on
experience
those
twice.
days.
Like when you go to see a double show at Alpine, when you go to a full Creek End, and people say like, what do you mean you're seeing the same band twice? When they ask that question, you know that they have seen bands that play the same set list throughout their entire tour, which to me, I didn't even know existed because I'm so used to Dave playing a different show, changing his set list in the middle of a show, for Christ's sakes. You know what I mean? That's just what like I've been accustomed to. So when people ask like, how do you go to more than one show in a weekend? You like, they are seeing bands that will play. I can't understand how you could play the same set list for an entire tour and expect people to come see you more than once.
Right.
How are you garnering a community that way?
Mhm.
How are people going to come see you more than once if they know they're going to hear the exact same set list over and over and over, sung the exact same way, with no interpolations, with no interpretations, with no scatting, with no Dave talk, with no extras, with no, you know what I mean? Like it's
No
just literally a
tailgating.
unique experience. It's a completely unique experience every time.
And
But
it's
Dave
for
only
everybody.
has 35,000 fans. And but
We just all go to the same show.
I mean,
Yeah, I heard that before. Yeah.
It's great you can go to a show and never feel out of place. I've been to shows where I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? And even my first Dave show, first got there, I was like, what the heck am I doing here? And by the end, I was like, I'm so glad I'm freaking here. Because it was just an amazing experience. And
each show is so amazing. It's just so I like cry at every show. I'm sorry, I'm an
Absolutely.
emotional baby. I like cry at every show during some song or some opener or some closing. I'm that emotional. I know, Renae. Sorry, you think I'm not. You think I'm
No.
not.
When I hear someone say they're emotional at a concert, the only thing I think about, I've been emotional at many concerts, but when I think of my past and think about when I was the most emotional at a concert, is easy for me to tell you exactly which one.
Mm-hmm.
Who can
I
guess?
can name 3 right now instantly.
July 23rd, 2021. Where was I? Raleigh, opening show 2021, after not having
2.5 years.
Oh, 2021 was a beautiful year. That was the show I cried the hardest at too, Renae, except I was in Detroit for that one.
It was amazing.
We were in Raleigh.
That Raleigh show, that Raleigh show for me too hit. I remember
it was incredible.
I flew out and I was on rail for that show, and I mean, the night before there was a bunch of get-togethers, and everyone was hugging, and not your normal, hey, I haven't seen you in a while, 2-second hug, like full on 15, 30-second hugs, because we hadn't seen each other. And these were all families, and you hadn't seen each other in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then we all get to Raleigh, and they opened with 41, which was amazing.
Yes.
But then that was if y'all remember, that was the first show they did another how long with that third verse on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And now they've been playing it like normal now. But I remember
people still scream for the
that
third verse, and I'm
first
like,
time-
it's just coming. Like, you know it.
we know it's coming. But that first time,
Yes.
I remember looking back and we realized it was coming, and the crowd, the entire amphitheater collectively lost their shit
Absolutely.
when he started that third verse. And it was
Absolutely
an amazing thing.
Renee and I were with you on the rail that night, and I remember 41, which I do have tattooed on me, one of my favorite
So do
lyrics.
I.
And I remember losing our bleep, bleep, bleep that night. I was like tearing up in tears.
Mhm.
Even the minute we walked into the stadium, I was already in tears, just with the people and the family and just being together with everyone. Like, I look down the rail and it's like, these are my people. These are my people. I may not know every single one of their names, but these are my people that I have found. And I was like choking back tears. And when you're right, when the third verse came out, I almost lost my shit because I was like in tears, like Oprah crying, like snot out of my nose, like, oh my God, I have a cold. This isn't happening. I just have a cold, people. I'm fine. But it was really just looking down the line of everyone that I did not know, thinking these are my friends and these are my family, and I don't know your names, but this right here is my family.
Trista, tell me
Agreed.
tell me how you describe the Dave Matthews Band to people that are not already aware.
People, say the cult thing, and I'm like, whatever, it's not, but we'll talk about that another day. But I just tell them, like, it's a whole experience. You can't judge it until you are there.
That's exactly
Like,
right.
I took
I want to do this every week now.
Karen wants to do this every week.
a couple
I
of
want to do
friends
this
from
like every week now. I just want to talk about Dave like every week.
It's good
now.
to talk
I'm
about
sorry.
Dave with other people who want to
Because
talk about Dave,
it's
right?
so therapeutic for me. It's like, this is my I'm sorry you heard that.
You're all going to
This
sleep
is
like
my
babies tonight, and you can stay here tomorrow.
Therapeutic session. I'm
And
so
that sounds
sorry.
a
I'm
lot
gonna
worse
shut
than
up.
what it was.
I'm not going to whisper. I'm so sorry.
Don't whisper. This is a podcast.
No,
So
it's like my therapy. All of a sudden, I'm like,
Yes.
oh my God, I feel so happy in a life that I've not felt happy in for a little bit. And it's just like such therapy. So
Renee should
Oh,
send you a therapy bill.
Karen.
I love
Shut
it.
up.
No, I mean it's beautiful to see people. I mean,
Yeah.
we've seen two people now get emotional just in talking
Yeah.
about this, and so the power of the band. It's crazy. But Trista, did you have anything to add to how you tell people?
Yeah,
about-
like I ended up taking
Sorry, Trista.
a couple. It's okay, Karen.
I'm
A couple
so
friends
sorry.
from Sioux Falls with me to the gorge. We drove out there. I took my friend Jamie. She had seen Dave in Sioux Falls. I had got her tickets for that. And then our friend Sarah. We've all known each other since I was pregnant with Tavia. Tavia's 14 now. But Sarah is not a Dave fan. Like, she doesn't like Dave Matthews, but she came anyways. And she enjoyed the shows. She enjoyed the openers. She'd never been to the gorge. She wanted the experience. And Evans, she popped her gorge cherry this year. And I fucking cried with them.
Mhm.
I was on the hill. That was my fourth time crossing that hill. And I cried with them, just bawling. And I caught other families pressing the hill. I'm taking pictures. Like, what's your phone number?
Yeah.
It's our first time here. I'm like, well, I captured it for you.
Honor.
What do you think brings that
Oh,
emotion?
that would be so cute. I would love that for someone to catch me in a moment like that.
Oh my God,
that I
yes.
didn't realize you were catching, like from a outside perspective, and then you texted that picture.
Mhm.
That is just so sweet. What a gift.
I agree.
Sometimes we just need that escape and those beach shows give us that for 3 hours or more. We get to escape all the other nonsense we have to deal with.
Yes,
every day.
it
So we
feels
get the
like an
opportunity to
alternative
just
reality.
not have to worry
Understood.
about anything else. And just be in the moment.
I feel like that's so true. Sometimes it's right now, and all of you are able to do
Right.
that. And so I understand you on that level. And that's all I need. We don't all have to have the same beliefs or values or blah, 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 blah. What we are here for is that we both agree that this music is amazing. And so I already know that I like these people. When I walk into the room, I feel home because I know everyone here is here probably for the same reason that I am. And so it feels like going home every single time. Does anyone else feel that way?
Yeah.
Amen.
It feels
Yes,
like going on a family
definitely.
vacation to me. I don't know if it feels like going home, but it feels like
Yeah.
going on vacation with all your friends.
There's some times
does.
where I feel more excited to go to night zero and see people I haven't seen in months or a year or more.
Yeah.
And then fucking get
Yeah,
hugs
meetups
and
are always
shit.
the best.
Yeah.
100%.
And off-season meetups are super fun too. I've been to 2 off-season meetups.
Mhm.
No, 1 off-season meetup. That was super
Well,
fun.
Renae and I and our crew, we have a big crew. We like to do off-season little trips together. Like we've been to Nashville, we've done Gatlinburg,
remember.
we've been to New Orleans. We get our crew together and we do Dave Matthews Band off tour greet ups to kind of like cure the winter blues of not seeing
100%.
Dave. Oh my God, it's so much fun. It is so incredible when we get together and we all like have Dave garb on and it might be the winter cold and no one else is there. And we'll walk down the streets of Memphis and we're
Like a little
talking to
gang.
cops and oh my God, we went to a drag show, which was a whole other story.
It all ties in though. The magic of Dave
That was
Matthews.
fun, but it's just we do things outside of Dave Matthews Band, but I never would have done this with these family members. These are my sisters. Renae is my sister, and my friend Amanda, who's on my couch right now, who is also a part of the group. She just doesn't want to be on the podcast, but she's my sister, and we meet, and anyone that we meet that wants to join us and come do these trips with us, and we do some amazing things off tour to keep our group, our Dave Matthews Band, our heart, our love for the music together, and it's just incredible. And these are lifelong friends. Like Renae is a lifelong sister.
I know her funeral plans. That's how personal.
She knows my funeral, and I have an amazing.
I call Renae
funeral.
my mom. I call Renae and her husband mom and dad, and she's only like a few years older than me.
We are that
take
mom and
care of
dad
me.
type.
They take care of me.
I'm going to throw a wrench in the conversation, but I always really like to hear what's on your playlist. And I don't want to know Dave Matthews Band. Who else are you listening to? Who else has caught your eye or shall I say caught your ear?
This is
Who do
a
you wanna
perfect question
start
because
with?
all of our Spotify list just came out.
That's exactly
I
right.
don't do Spotify, so I don't do Spotify, so I can tell you.
I'm going to
my
log
list.
into my Spotify right now and figure it out.
I don't do Spotify. I'm a
Oh.
Sirius XM, but can I tell you my list?
Well, you can tell me one band that you want to give a shout out to, and just it's a recommendation for the listeners or for the people in this podcast to just say, you know what, I'm going to give it a try because I love spreading music.
What's up, everybody? This is David with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. We're a nationally touring tribute to DMB, playing shows all over the country and beyond. Our goal is to bring you back to the classic sound that you fell in love with in the 90s and the 2000s, featuring a violin, saxophone, and maybe some keyboards sprinkled in as well. You can find out information about all of our tours and shows by visiting thedmtb.com. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram and other socials by searching the Dave Matthews Tribute Band or the DMTB. Hope to see you on the road and enjoy the Space Between podcast.
Oh, come on. I have to say one?
one.
Okay.
Oh, I want to get
Oh,
You wanna
okay,
get
I
two?
don't want to go first on this. Okay, Nathaniel Rateliff.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah.
he's
Mhm.
amazing.
Nice choice.
Now he's
That's a nice
up
choice.
there with Billy Strings.
Also nice
they're-
choice.
Oh, yeah,
Why
they're
does the
tied.
Night Sweats come to mind? Is that his group, like the back group of
Yes,
him? Okay,
yes,
okay, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes. And he's
Yes.
amazing. He like writes his own music. He's bluesy. He's folky. I would love to see him with Dave. He would be. He would be like Billy Strings with Dave. Just incredible. And also, let's talk about. Well, I won't say anything else, but yeah, put those two together, it'd be incredible. Incredible.
That would be. I would love to hear that. Trista, who are you listening to?
Listening to Bad Rabbits.
Bad
That's
Rabbits?
literally, yeah, they're my second almost under Dave. They're from like the Boston area. They're funk, R&B, rock. I seen them in Philly. I went out to Philly to visit some Dave friends, and they were actually playing, and I showed up. And I know I used to work not physically with the lead singer, but our call center here in Sioux Falls took their like phone calls and chats and emails. So like I knew of him, and he was surprised as shit that I was in Philly at his show. And but they got some
Bad
good music.
Rabbit?
Bad Rabbits, yeah.
Bad Rabbits. Okay, we're gonna look that up
Yes.
after.
I gotta look that up.
I'm gonna check it
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Cameron, what has your ear now besides the Dave Matthews Band?
I gotta pick one. It's absolutely Michael Franti. Michael Franti.
Oh, and the Spearheads?
Oh,
I tell you
I
what,
don't know that one.
So positive.
Get you some Michael Franti. I mean,
I'm writing
every
that down.
album of his is just
Put up on Apple Music right now.
positive energy.
Spell the last name?
Is that
Yeah,
Michael?
spell it for everybody. Spell it.
Franti. Michael Franti and Michael
And the
Franti and Spearhead.
And the Spearheads. He's amazing. I've listened to him. So good. Yeah,
When you go
everyone,
to
if
his
I'm
show,
sure
yeah.
if you heard the song he sings, you would know who he was.
I've actually met him and he is amazing.
Here's my sidekick.
He's
I've met him too.
amazing.
He's a great guy.
He's-
Hey,
Cool.
Like
Awesome.
island vibe, like peace and love, like cool, genuine dude.
I'm sure if you guys
That'd be
heard his
cool.
song, you would know exactly who he was.
Do you want to
That's
sing
my
us a version?
conscience. That was my
Cameron, you have
conscience,
to sing for
Amanda.
us now.
Google Hey, Hey, Hey by Michael Franti.
Yes, 100% yes.
Okay, I'm
Very
writing
nice.
it
He
down.
has
'cause
so
I will
many
forget
good
that.
songs. He's
All right,
so
Kelly.
positive.
Kelly, who
So-
has your ears now?
So I was trying to stick with the theme of like, if you like Dave, then you'll also like this. But I don't think of it in the sense of these two bands that I'm going to name don't sound anything like Dave. But I realize the older I get, when people start asking me what kind of music I like, I've realized I like anything with horns.
Mm-hmm.
Any band that's got horns in it, it's a party. It's an automatic party.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too.
So
Me too. Sarah.
excuse me. So the two bands that I think I need to shout out that it's going to be a 50-50 on whether or not you've heard of them. And it's a damn shame, especially this first one I'm going to name, Lawrence. I don't know if you see, no one's heard of Lawrence. I'm so excited to introduce you to Lawrence. They are a brother-sister duo, Gracie Lawrence and Clyde Lawrence. And then their backing band. They both sing, but he plays keyboards, and then they have a backing band and a whole horn section. I can't describe them other than like party pop, but they also, gosh, I don't want to call them too poppy because I don't want pop to scare anybody away, but it's just really fun. And Gracie Lawrence has a voice that will just absolutely, she's a young thing. She's a tiny little thing, and her voice will blow you out of the water. Her voice is bigger than her body. She's unbelievable. Lawrence. And then if you like Lawrence, adjacent to Lawrence is Lake Street Dive. I feel like more people have heard of Lake Street Dive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you like Lake Street
Yes.
Dive, Lawrence feels a lot like
Right
Lake
there.
Street Dive. It feels
They
a
were
lot like them.
incredible when
Girl named Tom.
growing.
Like if you were going to look up Lake Street Dive on a Spotify list or a Pandora
Yes.
list and come up with like music like them, Lawrence would be. That's how I discovered Lawrence. Well, no, I'm sorry, I can't remember which order I did. They would be on each other's Spotify list. Basically, they're very adjacent of each other. That like big horn. They're super fun. Lake Street Dive and Lawrence, both of them.
Lake Street Dive's amazing. They opened for Dave a couple years
Drive.
ago.
Isn't it Drive? Lake Street
Yeah,
Drive.
Lake Street Drive.
Right?
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm all
I
about
wrote
Lake
guide
Street.
down.
I'm sure I lived on
Lake
that
Street
street
Drive.
somewhere.
Right.
But yeah,
They're
they
so fun.
opened for Dave a few years ago at the Gorge, and they were amazing.
Lake Street
Yeah.
Drive did?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yes, they did.
and they were.
I would
fucking-
have,
They were
my brain would have
freaking
melted out of my
incredible.
ears.
They
It was
were
2016.
out of my ears.
and the lead singer was sitting in pit, and my sister and I were there, and we just walked up and it's like, "Hey, by the way, you're cool." And she's like, "I love Dave Matthews," and we like, "Well, I love
They're
you
rad.
more now." It was
They're
they were
rad.
so
And
good.
Renee, you
So
said you like
good.
jazz, right?
I do.
You like jazz? So the lead singer of Lake Street Drive, her name is Rachel. She has a
Uh-huh.
little side project called Rachel and Vilray. It's just a 2-person, like a duet. Vilray is spelled Vilray, and they're it's a completely different sound than Lake Street Dive. It's more of like a jazz pop standard, like an old timey jazz, like
I love
Frank
it.
Sinatra kind of feel jazz,
Yes.
like 60s jazz.
Is
Lake
Dive.
Street.
Yeah.
Got it.
And
Yeah.
she's
is Dive, not
beautiful,
Drive.
like she does her
Rachel
hair
and
her makeup.
Vilray.
Rachel and Vilray is the gentleman's name. It's just her and one other gentleman. That's her little side project. And it's very cool, like 60s jazzy, like
I love
cool cigarette bar, or, like
Yeah,
it's,
like
it's
with
a
the
much cooler
bouffant
sound.
hair and the red lipstick, and she even
Yeah.
looks the part. But they're phenomenal.
Yeah. Yep.
it. Andy, what's in
right.
your ears right now? Or not right now, but
I will definitely stay local, and I discovered these guys actually only recently because they were supposed to lend support and open for Dave at the Gorge when I went. Is the Black Pumas,
Ooh.
and they're actually out of Austin, Texas.
Okay.
So I was thrilled to learn that. So I put them on, and holy shit, they got one album, and they're taking a break at the moment, but that album is amazing. So I was stoked. I wasn't going to get to see them, and of course they backed out. It's also a bit disappointed, but if you guys get a chance, or if you haven't heard, yeah, definitely give the Black Pumas a listen. They are very good.
The
I've
Black
got it.
Pumas, they actually did a show on CBS Sunday morning, which is my favorite jam because I'm 56 and a nerd. But it was really cool listening about them with their family, talking about how they started in the basement. And you are correct. They are an incredible band.
Mm-hmm.
Answers are, but I was sitting here thinking, God, I listen to so much. I don't listen to Dave Matthews Band a lot. And here's the reason why. It's not because I don't want to. It's because the people around me don't want me to all the time. You're at work and they're like, can we break with the Dave Matthews Band? I'm like, no, we could listen for weeks and we'd never hear the same song. But so I'm pushed to listen to other music, but I love to, and that's why I love that question, is because it kind of opens up me finding bands that I probably would never find by myself. But I'm going to go in a completely different direction and say, if you've never heard of the DJ Girl Talk, you need to look him up.
Yeah.
He is
Yeah,
amazing.
it's a good one.
So he's just a
bet.
DJ, and I don't mean to say just a DJ, but he is, he's a DJ. If I had to guess his age, I would say somewhere in his 30s, and he likes to mash up songs. He'll take a song from the past and a song from the present and mash them together. And he does such a beautiful job of, like, when you hear a Beatles song mashed with a Metallica song or whatever the combination may be, you're just like, how could I have ever imagined something that cool could have gone together? And it pulls my attention every time, because I don't know what he's gonna pull in next to the next beat. And so it's amazing. He's amazing. If you haven't listened, he has several albums. He is on Spotify, and I just got to see him live 2 weeks ago and somehow ended up on stage. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Wow.
You just ask and they let you up there. That's what happens. It wasn't.
Yeah, it's
Renee,
another
you
one.
always
Only
end
it was
up on
that
the rail.
simple. If
Just do
only
that.
it was that simple.
Isn't it though?
No, that's all you have to do. I mean, all they can say is yes or no. And this guy said yes, so I just went up and got on
Amen.
stage.
That's it.
I've asked him many times, and I've always been told
I mean,
no.
security was a
I'm not
little
as pretty, I
lighter
guess.
at a Girl Talk concert versus anything else. But I mean, there were still a lot of people there. And so it was wonderful. Okay, let's change the topic. Did everyone get to answer that question of what we're listening to? Everybody? Good.
Yes.
Okay. So here we go. know the answer, but sometimes people throw me off on this one, and there's no wrong or right answer. There just is not. I just want to know what your perspective is on this deal. So, DMV.
Why do I have a feeling I know what the question is?
I'm nervous.
I think I know what's coming
What is
too.
it?
I
Go
feel like
ahead.
I know what
Let's
the
hear
question
it.
is.
That one's so nervous.
No, I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but so do we or do we not join the warehouse?
Oh, that's not what I thought you were going to say.
I thought we were going to talk
I
about
thought this was
Boyd.
yes, I thought this
No.
was a Buddy versus Boyd question for sure.
The reason why I say the reason why I say it's
100%
controversial,
yes.
I've heard so many people that have been to, a million shows or no shows, and they're like, yes, it's like on my timer, it's on my schedule. I have been part of this forever. It's the best way, blah, 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 blah. And then on the extreme opposite side, I've heard people say it's a waste of money. I've never gotten anything, blah, 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 blah. So now I am very pro warehouse. I have done well through warehouse, and warehouse is I'm just so thankful. How do you feel about warehouse, and do you suggest that new listeners become part of that group?
Okay, I'm going to jump in right away. Being someone who's not in the warehouse.
I'm next.
Okay, being someone who's not in the warehouse, I think it was a really smart move. I want to say like in the beginning. So I'm even going to go like pre-2000, pre-2010 even. I want to say pre-2000s, but even pre-2010, mostly pre-2000s, I think it was a better idea. It was a better financial decision. I think there was just, physically, numerically less people in it. And now there's like 40 trillion people in the warehouse. I think it was just financially a better decision. You got more out of it. You got like ahead in line, all the benefits you get from the warehouse. I think it felt more like a fan club then, where you actually got the benefit from paying for it. You got your money's worth. At this point, as a non-warehouse member, all I have to do is know a warehouse member. And you know what I mean? Like I can get pit anytime I want. I can get, you know what I mean? Like I can get my tickets early. That's how I got good seats for Detroit this past summer. I had warehouse tickets, and I had them early, and I was in, and all you have to do is know someone in warehouse, because it's like, it's just so saturated at this point. It's so saturated. There's so many members that you don't even really, and then people are so willing like to sell the swag that comes with it, any sort of swag or any sort of garb or any sort of posters. People are so willing to sell it that, and then even on top of that, not everybody collects their warehouse tickets. So all I have to do is go in one of the groups and say like, hey, I went to this show. I'm not a warehouse member, but I am a ticket collector. I would really like it framed with my poster. Does anyone have a poster from this show that they're willing to get rid of? Does anyone have doubles? And does anyone have a warehouse ticket that they're willing to get rid of? Because I want to frame the ticket under my poster and get it double set. It's just not necessary. You just don't even need to be in warehouse anymore to get all the benefits, personally. And am I mistaken? And you guys correct me. Again, this is being a non-warehouse member. Am I mistaken when I think, didn't it used to be that like the lower your warehouse number, the further up in line you got for things? Like I felt like your number had something to do with it.
No,
Your number had
No,
nothing to do with it anymore. Well,
no.
on the back-to-back shows, I think it has a little bit of. I think it helps you a bit, like on the night twos. But even then, that's. It's debatable. I personally have warehouse. I've had it for a few years. I'll use it for my home shows. I tend to do better. Just personally, other people will refute that, and I can name you a whole list of people who will. But personally, I've done well requesting my Texas shows. But those are the only ones I'll request. Everywhere else, it's the same. As long as I know somebody, or I can usually find a ticket and end up where I would like to be. And I mainly keep my warehouse subscription for the posters. So I can get that link and grab myself a poster, because I do collect them. So that's mainly why I have it. But if you got if you don't feel $35 a year is going to hit you too hard, and you get a shot at getting the seats you want before everyone else does, and you get to avoid Ticketmaster, which in my opinion is probably worth the $35.
Oh my God.
Go for it.
Draining. Absolutely. That part is draining you.
Mm-hmm.
If I tell a friend, if I want to take a new friend to a show and I'm going to buy the tickets on Ticketmaster. Usually if I'm taking a new friend, I'm going to treat you to the show, right? And we'll sit on lawn for the first time. You have to experience lawn at least once in your life, or several times in your life. Just like you have to experience pit once in your life, you also have to do the back end lawn, because it's like two different experiences. But Ticketmaster, if I tell them, when they say like, oh, how much is a ticket? If I say 50, 55, I also have to follow it up with like, you know what, but like as part of me treating you, I'm also going to eat all the Ticketmaster fees for you, because it's going to be closer to 70, 75 once we get through Ticketmaster. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah, I
usually
feel
eat
so
those fees for
guilty
someone.
unloading those Ticketmaster tickets. And most of the time during shows or days of the shows, when we have extras, I tend to just give them away because I feel bad about selling them day of lots of the time.
Right.
Now, I'm a warehouse member for 17 years, and I'm gonna say I'm at 110 shows, and there are people out there more than me. So I'm not trying to sound braggadocious, because I'm a minnow in the pond. But I've been extremely fortunate, being a warehouse member, to have awesome seats every year. I've been upgraded to pit. I have been lucky enough to get assigned pit, and I've been denied just like one or two shows. I've been very fortunate, but I also myself, like every year, I write a very nice thank you letter, and thank you to the warehouse people for your service, almost kind of like you write Jerry the bus driver, notes about thank you. I don't get anything extra for that, but I just feel
Karen,
so.
I like how you say writing a note to Jerry the bus driver, something we all do. Jerry?
Don't you? I always
didn't know we were supposed to be. I'm sorry, Jerry.
I'm so sorry.
Jerry the bus driver just got nominated. Did anyone see that on the Gorge Cruise?
He got
Instagram?
nominated and won, and I write.
Oh, he won too.
Jerry.
That was because of Karen's letter. Karen wrote a letter to somebody.
No. But I do. I'm that weird person. I write the warehouse every year after the end of the season. Like, thank you so much for a great season. Thank you for putting up with all the crazy warehouse people and all the complaints. But I just want to thank you, whether I was allowed tickets or denied, but just thank you for your service. I do the same to Jerry. I know I'm really weird, but I've been very fortunate for 17 years, and I also like it because I am a poster collector. So I do love it that they change it to where they give you a couple hours before the show, if you have warehouse tickets, to go online and purchase the poster ahead of time. If you catch it, you're lucky. I don't have to carry it through my poster. But then on the other hand, I don't dance. No, sorry. I don't dance. I'm that girl at the concert when everyone complains like, oh, that person beside me is not dancing. She's not having fun, but I'm holding your damn poster and I have a beer in the other hand and I'm pretending like I'm dancing and like getting it down. And I've just been very, very fortunate through the warehouse. And I've gotten an upgrade to the Gorge one year. I had pit tickets to night 1. And then all of a sudden, night 2, the warehouse is calling me and I get a free pit upgrade. So I had 1 year, 3 pit tickets to the Gorge because of the warehouse. So regardless, I'm 100% warehouse, yes.
Warehouse, yes.
Wow.
Anyone else?
I have okay luck with them, I guess. At decent fall tickets for me.
In person as much as I can. So I've done grass, but I just love being as up close as I can. So it can be hit or miss with the warehouse. I've gotten great seats without warehouse, and I've gotten decent seats, through it. So it's hit or miss. I've got a membership. I debate every year. I'm going to keep it and want to not. So it just kind of how that season go, and it just depends. But you don't need it to get good seats. The perks of $35 can get you some free CDs and some free MP3s and poster. So it's more about the access you get so than the tickets themselves sometimes.
Yeah, I think the other aspect of it too is that if pulled towards your question, Renae, recommending others, it just kind of depends on that person and how they attend the shows. If they know they're only doing shows A, B, and C, and that's it, yeah, great for it. Go for it. I mean, I think you probably find some value in that, but for lots of us, I don't mean this to sound egotistical or any of this like that, but a lot of times, like myself, I'll only plan on 2 or 3 shows, but then I'll end up 10 or 15 deep in. And they're not
Mhm,
planned when the tour is announced. A lot of it
Yeah.
is a friend called up and says, "Hey, I have an extra pit." And I great, when? Saturday. Shit, let me check flights and see if I
Yep.
can make it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's when a lot of it is. So in my case, the warehouse doesn't really benefit me, and it's not in a negative way, but just from how I experience Dave and go to those shows, a lot of times I'm not requesting a lot of tickets from warehouse to these shows, because most 85-90% of them, they're not planned.
That's awesome. That makes
And
sense.
I have a perfect t-shirt for the lawn versus the pit. So my lawn is, I grabbed enough grass. Now it's time to grab some ass.
There we go. There we go.
You're welcome. I'm gonna
No,
so
I love you
You're
so
welcome.
much. I love you so much. Okay, last question, and then that is going to be episode 2. Thank you guys for sticking in this far with me. I hope it's been entertaining, and then I think you're going to sleep well tonight, because this has been like a digital family reunion, and so you'll just be at peace tonight. Everything else will just float away. So we're ending the day on a good note. So here we go. Who would be your ideal musician for the Dave Matthews Band to collaborate with, and why?
First,
Yeah,
can I go first?
Yes.
Since I'm jumping in, I would say Chris Stapleton. He is right.
Yeah,
The
that's
most
actually a great
amazing
suggestion.
music and the amazing songs. And he has written, even before he became popular, so many songs for people that you would not even believe. And his voice, and I've seen him live quite a few times, is incredible. And I would love to see Dave sing with Sting. I grew up with the Police.
Oh,
That's one of my bands that I grew up with, being born in 1966, so I'm an 80s child, with Sting and Genesis and Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins and the Commodores. Jet, my favorite. But I would love him to do, Chris Stapleton and Sting would be
Interesting.
incredible.
Be a change up for sure. I would love to hear that. I love Chris Stapleton. Of course, Sting. Yes.
Hey, I'm gonna go rogue
Okay.
on everybody.
Let's do it.
A lot of bands that are kind of in that Dave realm probably aren't my favorites. So I really look at who's going to have that emotional connection, who's going to have that vibe. And I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. I would pair Dave with Kendrick Lamar.
Wow.
Interesting.
If you listen to his new album, he has a song on there with Beth Gibbons from Portishead. And the way they vibe and they mesh, I could see Dave having that same energy. Just looking at what's going to be completely out of the realm, out of the norm, because we could very easily pair Dave with anybody, a Jim James or a Gary Clark Jr. or folks like that. But really, what's going to be outside the norm that, he's that universal that he could vibe with.
That's good. I like that.
That's a great
That's
pairing.
a good one.
It's a pairing
That
that I would
is.
have never put together, but now that I have heard it, I'm like,
I would
yes.
not, but
Let's
I'm
put
gonna
it
go
into the
with
universe.
here, and I'm just kind of like the country song with.
Yes,
now, I'm
yes,
not like
yes.
a monster. I'm not like a monster Kenny Chesney song or Kenny Chesney fan or anything like that. I'm not a monster country music fan in general. I like some. I like 90s country more than anything. But that particular song was fantastic. And I think it would be like the Chris Stapleton suggestion. I think his voice and style does lend itself to like that Chris Stapleton country kind of direction. So I think that could be interesting if he found more and different country artists to vibe with. But as I'm going through my Spotify list, I'm pulling up one just jumped out at me. And it's actually an older artist, not older as in her age, but older as in like, I don't think she's put out a new song in a while. But does anyone remember India Ari?
Yes,
Yes.
Wow.
Ma'am.
yes, yes.
I really feel like he could like do something so fascinating. I think he could do something cool with her. I really do. I'm scrolling, and her name just came up, and I was like, "Ooh, yeah, those two voices together, like for sure, could be something cool." I think.
Feel
Yep,
like-
those are
yes,
my answers.
100%.
I love
more
that answer.
more country artists. Chris Stapleton, I agree with, and India Ari, I think would be rad.
Trista, what are you thinking?
I would look back in the day.
I never got into
Amos.
Tori Amos.
Oh.
I think my
Oh.
age group was like just beyond, like
Oh my God,
it just
she's
wasn't for me.
phenomenal. And she's so
It wasn't
true
for
in
me.
her lyrics, like David's, which is what I like, because she talks about just true stuff that has happened in her life. And she's another one with an incredible.
What do you think?
I would say Anderson .Paak. I'm excited to see them together, or him open for Dave in Phoenix. And I hope there's something happening on stage together, because he's an
Nice.
amazing drummer. And I think he would go well with Carter.
Nice.
I'm pretty excited about that.
My answer to this question, and I haven't thought a lot about it like Kelly, I wrote these questions, but I didn't think about my answers when I wrote them. And so
I feel like I knew that I would come up with something on the spot, you know.
I'm really better under pressure, but here's where I would go with this. If you haven't heard of this band or this guy, I recommend that immediately after we finish this podcast, you go check him out, because he's just blown my mind. Marcus King, if you don't know who he
yes,
is,
ma'am.
his name is,
Yep.
Yes,
I mean,
ma'am.
when
a
I
good one.
when I first heard
He's
his
from South
voice,
Carolina.
yes, he is.
He's amazing. He is amazing.
He has such a. What I like about Dave is he can put emotion into the words without it being emotional, I guess. I mean, like, but you can feel the emotion. And with Marcus King, I feel like the cry in his voice is so deep and so like hungry for whatever it is that he's singing about, that it's just, it captures you. Like, okay, I want to listen to everything he says just based on the way he's saying it. So put those two together. I can't think that it would be a bad deal. Now, Marcus King is probably a little more, I don't want to say country because that is the wrong word, but he definitely leans a little heavier that way. So maybe that is the
I know
best
what you
answer. But they're incredible. They have several albums out. So if you've never heard of the Marcus King Band, definitely check them out. Incredible,
phenomenal.
incredible music. I think they're up and
amazing.
coming.
Yeah.
How would you
enough,
describe that? If it's not country, how would you describe that? Because that is interesting.
It's country rock. I saw him with
It
Chris
is.
Stapleton last year.
He
It was amazing.
did. He
100%,
opened for Chris
yes.
Stapleton. That's right. He was
Don't they
traveling
call
with
that
him.
outlaw country? I think it's like outlaw country.
That's kind
it's
of,
like
but
a new.
it's not really outlaw. It's really just Americana country.
Maybe, but he has a little bit of like not soul, like bluegrass, like there's something in there that I can't think of what the word is, but it's definitely
Folk.
not country. Folk, yeah, for sure. So I mean, if you can wrap your brain around that,
Soul
yes.
country.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
soul's a little, yeah.
yeah, he
And
definitely.
if you're gonna go in the Marcus King direction, you have to keep going down that same road and hit Alan Stone. And if you're gonna go down Alan Stone, you have to keep going down that road and hit Teddy Swims.
I don't know about Teddy Swims.
That's a good one.
Teddy Swims, yeah. Teddy Swims is it. Actually, I would say Teddy Swims and Alan Stone have toured together, but I would say Teddy Swims is more like Marcus King than Alan Stone. But Teddy Swims and Alan Stone are buddies. That's why I always pair those two together. But sheesh and meesh, yeah, those guys.
So many good bands. So many good bands.
I love doing that. I
opened
love
last year at the Gorge.
I love taking an artist and finding the spider web of like, if you like him, then you'll like this. And if you like that, you'll like this. And this kind of feels like this. And then, like.
That's what Spotify needs to do next, right? Instead of this is what you listen to, which we already know, like try this based on, or maybe they already did that. I don't know, but.
Try Johnny Swims. How about Johnny Swims? That's a good band.
Johnny Swims.
I don't know George Strait.
I don't know about Johnny Swims.
Strait. Hey, shout out to George Strait,
How about Garth Brooks?
Blame it all on his roots, okay?
What's the next question? I'm ready for the next.
Well, the next. Do what? Go ahead.
I was going to say this. Yeah, I had an interesting addition, and I had always wanted to experience this, and I think it happened for 2 songs at a festival back in 2009, but I haven't seen it, so for me it doesn't count. And I have looked for bootlegs and I can't find it. So I think the one artist I would love to see come out on stage with Dave would be Bruce Springsteen.
Yes.
I grew up listening.
Oh,
I grew up listening to music with my dad. So it was Bruce, it was the Eagles, it was Tom Petty, the Who, Agent, all of that. So, and I've seen Bruce in concert a few times, and his shows absolutely blow your mind. I mean, he falls in that category we were talking about earlier, to not quite like Dave, where for the most part it's the same show, but when he comes out and does an encore and a second encore and a third and a fourth encore, and those are completely unscripted. And I've seen him before, and I mean, he was coming out and literally grabbing signs from the people in the first few rows, showing it to the E Street Band, and then you start playing the song on the sign. But to experience his voice, I know they've collaborated together on projects, but as far as seeing them on stage together and play something, oh man, I would love to see or listen to Bruce and Dave do like something like Thunder Road. Would be amazing. Yeah. That's I've always wanted to, or wished I can experience that somehow.
Andy, how old are you?
38.
Oh my gosh. So when you talk of, I'm so sorry. I'm sucking my breath in because I agree 100% with what you're saying. I would love to see them, but I sit here and imagine my son turning 40 this year. Yes, Renae, my son's turning 40 and I'm so devastated. But when you say seeing them together, I remember them before even Dave Matthews began. But you're right. What an incredible ride that would be to see them together. It would be, I can go back to, I would love to see Dave with Genesis. Genesis was my Dave Matthews Band before Dave Matthews Band started. And I'm talking with Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins, and how I would love to see Dave Matthews with Peter Gabriel or Crosby, Stills and Nash or Queen or Jet. I just have this whole list of being so old in this group, probably the oldest one in this group, and just having bands that I would love to see Dave with. I'm done, Renae. I'm so sorry. I'm done.
You don't ever have to say you're sorry. I invited you on to this, so we're so glad.
And
that
now
you're sharing.
You can edit me out.
No, I'm gonna ask the very last question, and it's short but sweet for certain. What? I know that was totally lame, wasn't it? Can you name? Well, let's not name a favorite song because that's impossible for me. But can you narrow it down?
It's not even favorite song; it's favorite version of the song.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like it's just a rabbit hole that
we don't have time
for. But I was reflecting about a couple things this week, and I think I had it narrowed down to my favorite album, which I never thought I could do. And it's not necessarily based on the songs that are on that album. But just the feeling that album gives me, or it reminds me of, or whatever, just that connection that brings it to me. So can you name your favorite album? That's a tough question.
Yes.
I'll go. Yeah, no problem. I mean, like I can never follow the rules. So I feel like top 3 came to mind immediately. I'm going to always pick Under the Table and Dreaming because that was my first cassette tape. So yeah, Karen, some of us are a little older than you think, 39. So no, but so Under the Table and Dreaming was my first cassette tape. What would you say was my first song that I ever heard by them? I remember hearing them on the radio and just being like, what? Like, I just remember freaking out. I was 6th grade, and going like, I don't even remember like what in the world music was I listening to in the 6th grade. I could not tell you. I only remember it's like the music part of my brain turned on all of a sudden. Because before I was just like, whatever's on the radio is fine. And then all of a sudden it was like, I care very much about what's on the radio. Yes. All of a sudden, you know what I mean? So Under the Table and Dreaming is always going to be my first choice. But in the past several years, I would say, Come Tomorrow and Groovrux are the 2 that I turn to over and over and over and over.
I agree. Andy, what's your favorite album?
Oh, without a question, mine's easy. It's, I guess it's more of a live release. It's Dave and Tim at Luther College. So
nice. Excellent choice.
Yes.
Excellent
personal
choice.
Attachment to that. So that released in January of '99. And that is a friend of mine had it had it over, and he left it at my house. I specifically remember that, and I got a hold of it, and I said, getting a little tired of Incubus and everything else today, so I put it on, and I'll never forget it, man. I mean, that whole album, start to finish, was something I'd never heard or experienced before.
Same.
The 41 on there too, just completely, just probably my favorite version, along with the version I experienced in Vegas in 09. But that one for sure, that's what got me hooked on to the band. So I have a special attachment to that particular release. And just a few months later, 99 is when I went to go see them in Austin for the very first time. And then that was it. I mean, that show, I mean, they opened with Stone, and then in the middle of the show, they
did a solid opener.
Oh, they did with Stone.
And then a solid opener.
In the middle of the show, now just listen to this, and this is what sucked me in. I got Dreaming Tree, and they went into two-step, Angel from Montgomery, and then 41, and then Lie in Our Graves.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
I was effectively, my mind was blown. Like, that was it. And it's been history ever since. I mean, without a doubt, that I would say that album is definitely my favorite because of what it's led to.
I love that. Trista?
I think Renae, if I could sidetrack for 10 seconds, I think that Andy just your count. No, because I don't want to, I know this is your last question and I don't want to go off track too far, but I think Andy just gave me the thought that because every show is different and the set list is always different and he doesn't repeat set list very often, I think this whole idea of the set list game and the song chase and what's going to be next and what's a predictable next, what's a predictable opener, what's a predictable closer. Oh, he's opened with this one a lot. He's closed with this one a lot this tour. What do we think will come next? I think that game is really important to Dave fans. Like the whole set list game is also a huge, big passion part of the play. Where like other bands, you just go like, oh, they're going to play whatever they want. You know what I mean? But us, it's like, it's a lot of the conversation happening on the lawn is what's next? What do we feel is next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And then, am I right? Am I wrong? Did you get your song? Did you get your chase? I think that whole game is really important to fans.
Absolutely.
So, and you talking about the Stone opening, that just put that in my head.
That's a great opening.
Was that 10 seconds?
It was longer, but who's counting, right? Hey, Cameron, what's your favorite album?
So I'm like Kelly. So Entertainment Dreaming was definitely that gateway.
Yeah,
I remember
for sure.
I heard Satellite. That was the first thing I heard, and I think I was probably listening to Wu-Tang Clan at the time. So,
Aaron has a special version of Satellite.
I have a special story about Satellite.
We'll save that for another
I don't want to
one.
hear any Satellite hate. Satellite is not my bathroom song. I will stay for Satellite.
I will
no Satellite hate.
Satellite right now, but that's a whole different version.
That's quite a flip, though.
My go-to and probably one of my most important is definitely Big Whiskey and Gru Greg's King, because I mean,
nice,
I was,
same, man.
Leroy was extremely important and special to me. So just kind of having those last moments of his,
the way that album opens up, the way that opens up with that horn sliding seamlessly into Dave wailing. It's just killer. It's so good. That album is so fun.
And those last melodies at the very end, just Leroy just kind of signing out. It's just kind of gets to you.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's heavy. You're right. Good choice.
Trista, what's your favorite?
I'd have to say, be my first album that I listened to, which was Remember Two Things. The first song that you met David and Adam in Omaha, Renae.
I did. I love them. The South Dakota.
Those two boys are the reason that I love Dave. Mostly, like, Adam really opened me up to it, but David was the one that forced me. He literally forced me to listen to Ants Marching in my 1989 Mercury Tracer hatchback station wagon. Look it up. It's an ugly car. But he's like, you got to listen to it. And I was in like a Korn and like Limp Bizkit stage. And I was like, I don't like it. And look where I am now.
Completely different. Sidetrack. Completely different.
But those are three bands with a serious energy. So you didn't stray too far. Those are three bands with like hot energy. It may not be the same sound or the same brand, but it's like Tylenol, ibuprofen, and aspirin. They all do the same thing, but they're 3 different medicines, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
They do not do the same things. I am a nurse.
Okay, Renae, I knew you were going to say, you know what
Let's-
I mean.
Let's not talk about medicine tonight. So I'm going to close with giving you my answer, and it's going to be a sappy answer. Are you okay with an emotional sappy answer? I have four albums hanging on my wall. I'm looking at them right now. You named 3. No, I think you named them all. So in first position is my Come Tomorrow album, and I'll tell you why that's my favorite here in just a minute. Second, Under the Table and Dreaming. Third, Big Whiskey. Fourth is a live album from Hollywood Bowl in 2018. And I'm going to tell you why there's some similarities there in those two, if 2018. So Dave Matthews has been in my life for as long as I can remember. It's kind of like telling you, when I think back to when I first heard of him, I have to almost, it feels like I'm looking back on my whole life because he's almost always been there. I was 11 when the band came out. So of course I wasn't, to my knowledge, aware of the band in 91, only because I would have been relying heavily on my mother, who was not quite as cool as y'all's by taking you to a concert. So I didn't discover him until high school. And it's always been part of my life. I was married for 18 years in my first marriage, and we were both very big Dave Matthews Band fans. And thankfully, at 18 years, that came to an end. And 2018 rolled around, and it was the year that I found myself, if you know what that means, after being in a connection and a marriage for so long and not knowing who I was. I got married when I was 20 and divorced at 38, I think 37. So I was with him for a very long time in my life. But what I love about Come Tomorrow is when I think back of Dave Matthews Band, I think of 30 years. But when I think of the Come Tomorrow album, I think of only the best year of my life, which was 2018. And it's something that Justin and I have that we haven't had to share with anyone else. There's no previous Dave Matthews Band. It's just that 2018 is when my life started. And so that album is like, it's like my theme song. Like it's everything. And it's not necessarily my favorite song, which I can't even begin to tell you what it would be, but that album, it brings me to such a place in my mind that is just, there are no words. There are no words. And so
it's euphoric is what it is. And that's why this question is so great with everybody here, because it's not necessarily everybody's favorite album. I think we answered it more of which album means the most to you. Because like there's no connection like you have to that album, where everyone else may just be like, yeah, that album was okay. Yeah. But what you were experiencing in your life at that particular moment in time when that album released and was part of you, like you said, coming into yourself and experiencing it full on, it hits a different emotion, a different connection. I mean,
he's got a perfect point.
Album's great.
It's very
like Renae, you and I both chose that Come Tomorrow album, and we both had different reasons for it. That got me. I know it didn't come out during the pandemic, but that album got me through the pandemic. I think we wore that album out during the pandemic. For some reason, that was just the one we chose, the one we go to in our house for 2020. That album got like literally on just repeat over and over and over. And so like, he's got a perfect point that we each have a favorite album. And even if we share the same favorite album, you and I both have completely different reasons for it.
And you and I spoke about that, and Come Tomorrow is one of mine just because of my grandson, like I said, and the song Come Tomorrow. Like it brings me
and then you have a different reason too.
Tears.
Like it's just
it brings me to tears, and all of us have different reasons. And I like cry every time I hear it. And when I die, that's going to be a picture that I'm putting on his wall with the lyrics. And it's just such a special album, period.
That album I particularly liked as well, because this goes back to being the show about explaining the band to other people. I was able to explain it and show the band to a lot of friends this way, because that was the year, if you remember, Warehouse gave you a free copy of the album with every ticket you bought.
Mhm.
And I think I hit 18, 20 shows that year. I had a stack of Come Tomorrow CDs. I was using them for coasters in my house, and I was just giving them away to friends. And expression.
Yes.
And I was giving them out to friends who knew I was obsessed, and some of them still have that CD and say, "Oh, it's a great CD. I like it." And I was trying to push, "All right, try this one." So yeah, it's different reasons for every album.
That's
When
right.
I'm Weary just became like a fight song.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yes.
And it hits you different
100%.
every time you hear it.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
It does. It does. Well, guys, thank
Yep.
you so much for being willing to spend some of your personal evening with me talking
Thank
about the Dave
you.
Matthews Band. But I can see that it is personal for you guys too. So, and we're family. So we're not dedicating this to this was not work for us. This was family time. So I appreciate you. Has a great night.